What's up YouTube? So this is a quick review for the AORUS gaming setup from Gigabyte x299. I'm gonna go through all the features that this motherboard has. It has a lot of features, a lot of confusion. You have to go through the manual for really small details in order to find out how to set up this manual. I have been building computers for many years and I have to go for specific details about this motherboard because this one is really, I think this one of the top of the market. First of all, this one has of course this is a 2066 socket for the new 7 series, and this motherboard of course is capable of Skylake and Kaby Lake. So if you are using the and that will be reflected on how many RAM you can install, how many RAM slots you can install, and how much PC lanes you can install. I don't want to go for these details, but generally speaking, I think most people they will go with a 7800 or 7820X. Both of them are in the good range, and these are 28 lanes CPU like what I did. So before we get started, I want to go through the all the connectors over here and how many CPU LAN or BCI LANs you can use, and how which configuration. So first, if you look at the connectors from I/O, you will see that you are having actually two 4 USB 3.1 and then 3.1 Gen 2. So these, the red one, are Gen 2, these are Gen 1, but they are color coded over here because this is when you are updating the BIOS. You have to put your pen drive over here, and it has to be, by the way, USB 2. It can't work with USB 3 if you are updating the BIOS. Of course it can work with USB 3 if you are transferring data, but if you are updating the BIOS, it has to be USB 2 and connected through over here. Other than that, it's not gonna work. So you have 3.1 and then 3.1 Gen 2 USB Type C, and then 3.1 Gen 2 USB Type A, Wi-Fi connectors, sound, and SPDF, and of course 2 LAN. One of them is Intel, the other one is in Kilowatt. I'm not sure which is which, but one of them is Intel, one of them is Kilowatt. So this motherboard has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 PCI lanes, and depending on what kind of CPU you are installing, depends how much available you are having as PCI lanes. Like I said, the most common one is the one you have 28 PCI lanes, which is 7820X or 7800X. I keep saying K because I'm used to the 6th generation. So 7800X, which is 28 lanes. So in this configuration, you can have a 3 SLI or fire configuration, crossfire configuration. So you end up with 16 when you are having one, or you are having 16, 6, 8, or 8, 8, 8. This PCI LAN actually is 4, and this one here is 4. You can tell actually one quick way of knowing how many PCI lanes actually if you're looking from behind. So if you look from behind, you see this is full length. This is full length. That means you are having 16 over here, and you are having here is 8 and 4, 4. So for sure these are the one in the middle are 4, regardless of the CPU you are using. This is one is 8 maximum they can support, and then it depends on the CPU for more details. So that's for 28. If you are having the 44, which is the 79X and above, you are having 16 when it's 1, or 16, 16, or 16, 16, 8, and of course these are unaffected. It doesn't depend on the CPU. It's independent. In terms of PCI Express, on the the M.2, this one has a unique feature which has a 3 M.2, 3 of them, not 2 like most of them. I think ASRock and Gigabyte are the only one who has these three M.2. So you are having one here which is covered for heatsink, and then 2, and then 3. However, keep in mind, even if you are having 3 of them, there are some limitations of which configuration if you are doing, and they should share bandwidth with the SATA connectors. So and they are labeled as, so this one is, they call it P, and then this one is M, and this one is Q according to the manual. So the one in the middle over here actually does not accept any SATA M.2. In other words, if you are installing for instance Samsung Evo 850, it's not gonna work over here as M.2. It's not gonna work over here. It's incompatible with the SSD M.2 hard drive. But if you're installing it over here or over here, yeah, it can. You have to put it over here or over here. However, if you're installing it here or over here, you will share bandwidth with SATA connectors. And actually, it depends on what kind of M.2 hard drive you are installing. So for P, which is this one here, the one here, if you are installing a SATA SSD M.2 SATA, you will have SATA 0, which is the very first one here in the bottom. The very low one here in the corner will be disabled because they are actually using this SATA configuration. However, if you are installing M.2 with a PCI interface, all the SATA 0 through 7, all of the 8 of them will be working. On the other hand, if you are installing over here, like I said, which is M, one in the middle, M in the middle, all the SATA is gonna be working regardless. Of course, you cannot have a SATA because that's why all the SATA will be unaffected. If you are installing the third one over here, which doesn't make sense for me, which is this shielded one, you will be sharing with 4 of the SATA lanes if you are installing M.2 PCI Express. Remember that M.2, the PCI is actually 4 SATA lanes, so you are actually sharing bandwidth with the very last 4 of them, which is 7 through 4. So 7, 6, 5, and 4, they will be disabled automatically if you are installing M.2 over here. If it's up to me, I think they have, since this one is shielded, most people they will prefer to install the M.2 over here because it's a heat exchange or whatever they call it. I think this is the one should be not sharing the bandwidth with the SATA, but yeah, this is one of the downsides of this design. Other than that, like one thing different, you are having 2 PCI 8-pin connectors, so you can have more power to your CPU. I think if you are installing 7820 or 7800, you will be fine, but I would recommend using 2 of them just in case if you are overclocking. If we go to the pin connectors, first, this is the start from the corner. This is this pin connector. Actually, this is for the I/O shield. So if you look at the I/O shield, you are having a wire over here. This wire is actually where you connect it to this one, so the LED on the I/O shield will be working, and then you can control that from the software. There's 2 plastic lines, if you can see them. So these should be aligned with the opening over here, so you don't put it other way around. Then you are having, there's a system fan one over here. Here it is. And there's system fan 2, and then there's a system fan 3 and 4. Actually no, 3 is over here, 4 and 5, and I think one of them is actually you can use it as a water pump, and or 5. And then you are having CPU fan, CPU optional fan header, and then there's a water pump fan header. So you are having these three for your CPU. If you install, this is the right way. Most people are doing all-in-one custom, all-in-one liquid cooled CPU. Of course, if you are doing it's not gonna, you're not gonna do air cooling. That will be ridiculous, spending 400 for air cooling. And then you're having a bunch of the fan headers, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is good enough. And then actually, like I said before, these are having zero speed option, which means if you are having a good temperature of your CPU, it will stop automatically, and you can customize it and auto tune. This is a really good software of Gigabyte that have been used recently. Let's go for the RAM. As you can see, you are having 8 RAM slots. However, if you are using these below than 7800, which is 77 or below that 7740, this is actually become a 16 lens, a 16 PCI lens, and actually this side will not be working. This side will not be working, so you actually have to install your RAM over here, and I took this one here as a mark. So if you are installing two RAM slots, you have to install them here if you are using 16 CPU LAN. If you are using the 7800 or 7820 and you're gonna install two of the RAM, you are using 2 RAM slots, you have to use this one and this one, not over here. If you are using 4, then you have to start with 1, 2, so you have to skip one, and from the other side you have to use this one here and this one here. These are all the information I got it from the manual, but you have to stick with the manual so you can have the quad RAM. If you are installing 6, so you will have fill these 4 and then use these 2, and of course you are installing 8, you can fill them all, of course. If you look at this one here, this is a USB 3.1 Gen 2 front panel connector. Here's the front panel, the front panel connectors. And actually they are having I think they call it Q panel or Q connector, where you put all your cables over here and then you put it one shot. That's way easier. We are having 3.1 front panels, USB type 2, and then the audio connector. This one has a lot of RGB lighting. This one has a lot of RGB lighting, so excuse me. So we are having 2 RGB headers, for one here and one here. So these are actually, if you read over here, it says RGB, white, blue, red, green. So this one, which includes the white, this one includes the white. That's why it's a 5 pin. You can install it up to 5 meters. These one too, and it has a special connector that included with the in the box. And then there's one in front of it, which is this one here, and actually it's 5. However, if you are using a 12 volt RGB green, red, blue, which is GRB, either 12 volt or 5 volt, you need 4 pin. However, there are 5 because I guess that's where you split the 5th pin is actually to split the voltage. So that's why it's 5, but it's different than this one.